Welcome to Truth and Company Boxing Podcast for another segment of 20 Random Questions. I'm your host, John the Truth Dioria, and tonight's guest is professional boxer and former champion, Fast Eddie Chambers. How you doing, Eddie?
I'm doing great, my man. How you?
I'm wonderful. I'm glad we got this figured out, and I'm glad that you had time to come on the show.
Yeah, it was a little challenging, but we got it finally. You know what I mean?
Oh, you've had bigger challenges in the ring.
Maybe.
So listen, let's get right to this because I know there's some fans out here that are speculating or probably have thought that you have retired. You are not retired. You actually have a fight coming up in September.
Yeah. Maybe even sooner. Who knows? I mean, we're trying to get back into it a little bit. I mean, honestly, this is late on, but I haven't taken a great deal of punishment, as you can tell by my speech. But I still have been around for a long time. Father Time is still undefeated. Don't believe me, we're never gonna think that we have a shot at beating Father Time. That's not possible. So, but we're just trying to keep the jab in Father Time's face a little bit and keep him on the end of the punches so we can maybe fight for a few more years. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
All right. Well, I mean, you are one of the last remaining old school fighters still in the ring.
Right.
I mean, one of the guys that actually hit the elite top that have fought like big time names.
Yeah. I mean, you see a lot of the guys who are still kind of competing a little bit, like you would like Pulev and those guys. Even what's my man's name? I want to say he's from Australia. Damn, Lucas Brown, Big Daddy Brown. Like he was at 43, still trying to push. But the way some of these guys fight, they take too much punishment. They're there to be hit. They're heavier guys, so they really can't get away as easy. And it's not conducive to a long, overly extended career. And they're trying, because they still want to. Maybe there's some money. We look at this modern money, and we're saying, wow. We might want to stick around, maybe even for the YouTube thing, the YouTube Olympics or whatever they got going on. But man, it's attractive. But I'm not one who's out here trying to act like I'm still in the prime of my life necessarily. I just want to be as healthy as I can, get out there and try to do do everything as possible. Maybe give myself another run at a title somewhere. That may be a little bit of delusion, but if that doesn't happen, at least I could put something away for a rainy day. You know what I mean?
Okay. So are you ready for these 20 random questions?
Yes, sir. I'm going to try.
All right. Question 1. How did you get involved in the sport of boxing?
Oh, that's an easy one. My dad passed a few years back. But everything he taught me every day that we spent together, which was literally 25 straight years, every single day. I don't think I missed a day with the man. He pushed me beyond the limits that I thought I could be, pushed. And everything that I have done in boxing, he's really responsible for. So, yeah, he's the reason.
But no, it's just so the fans understand that it wasn't just like a regular dad pushed you into boxing. Your dad was actually your coach for a very long time, right?
Yeah.
And
he was a fighter.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to ask you. Wasn't he a fighter as well?
Yeah, in the 70s, he competed as an amateur. Probably did some professional-like smokers. You know what I mean? Back then, you know how it was. I mean, not everything had to be sanctioned. You know what I mean? But it was he actually fought Ray Leonard in the amateurs. He fought a couple guys from. I think he fought in like a little duel or something at one point back then. The Irish Olympic team came over. I don't know what that was. I mean, I wasn't there, so I can't really say. This is just what he was told me. He got some video of some of the things he was involved in, he was involved in. Yeah, he was definitely in the sport.
So you just grew up with it in the household, and then naturally you just wanted to be involved in it, basically.
wanting to be involved in it. Was
you didn't really want to be involved in it. Your dad kind of said you were going to be in it.
He was like, it was like this. When I was really young, I did want nothing more. You know, I remember watching Buster Douglas knock out Mike Tyson in I want to think it was '88. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, it was '88 or '89, something like that. Yeah, I don't know. I could be wrong. And I remember I was like, what, 6, 7, something like that, years old, maybe 8. I remember how old I was. I know I was born in '82, so if it was '88, definitely wasn't. Definitely wasn't 8. So I was 6. But I remember, you know, being upset because everybody was, you know, a lot of people, you know, I mean, my dad included, really liked watching Mike Tyson. So I was there punching in the mirror, not punching in at the mirror, but punching in the mirror, like shadow boxing, talking about, I'm going to get this guy for beating Mike Tyson. And that's the earliest memory I have of actually watching a fight and, you know, being that interested in it. And yeah, at that time I did, watching my dad go in and spar in the gym and stuff like that. I remember one guy really got the better of my dad in a bad way because he was older. And this kid was a young, top level amateur, and he put something on my dad. And I remember watching it and not wanting to watch it, trying to turn my head. But my dad was thinking he could come in there and handle the young whippersnapper, but it didn't turn out that way. And I remember those times and wanting to be involved. But once I got to a point where it was time for me to compete, and I started learning at the age of 8, 9 years old, and feeling my dad's punches on me and him not really holding too much back. Because I was a little bit bigger at 9 probably than, you know, average kid, I guess. And he wasn't necessarily taking a lot of steam off, at least it didn't feel like he was. And me practicing catching the shots and all that. Didn't necessarily think of it as being, you know, the most fun thing to do, but I still kind of wanted it. But as I got older, I started really being in love with the sport of basketball. Played a little football when I was young. Asked my dad, could I play and, you know, play basketball in high school? And he was like, nah, we going to the gym. And he literally made me one day just come in there and literally put me in the spar the first day. I literally sparred the first day in the gym. And if I must, you know, say I did pretty damn good that first day, but it didn't always end up that way. And of course, over the years, things got a little harder. Let's just say that.
Okay. All right. Question 2. Tell me who your boxing Mount Rushmore is. Your top 4 guys to you.
Oof, Jesus, that is so tough. Well, my favorite all time, if we're just talking about my favorite.
Yeah, your favorite.
My favorite to watch just has so much game was James Toney. James Toney has so much game. Like, you just watch it and you can just, you know, it's just, he was so good that he could be lazy and still compete. You understand what I'm saying? Like, he could be lazy, he can gain weight, he could do whatever, and he was tough and gritty. You know what I mean? He had a little bit of everything. So James Toney is my all-time favorite to watch. Holyfield, because of his heart, his determination, his underrated skill. I think he was underrated in the department of skill, but he had it. He's another one. And these are all favorites. I'm not saying that these are the best ever. You know, these are just my guys who are my favorites. I was a really big Shane Mosley fan back when I was young. Extremely. I loved watching him. I love what he brought to the table, the speed and all that. And I think, and aside from him, I think Roy Jones, Floyd Mayweather, Roy Jones might have been the best that I've seen fight live. Like when I say the best, like the mix of, I think James was the best skilled, in my opinion, when I watch. But I look at Roy Jones and say he was like an android. You know what I'm saying? Like he wasn't even human out there. Like when people really ask, like, how good was that dude? Like, I don't think anybody in the history of boxing really. I'm gonna be honest with you. I just don't see it. Even when Montel Griffin challenged in the first fight, I just think he was so shocked that somebody was able to like give him work like that. And Montel Griffin was a fantastic fighter himself too. So it wasn't like it was just, you know, something that wasn't, you know, it was surprising, but a guy as good as he was, you know what I mean? You can understand why he could get in trouble. But when Roy came back, when his mind was focused, it was like, bruh, good luck. You know what I mean? He was a special fighter.
And just to touch on James Toney real quick, I don't think he gets enough credit for the fact that a lot of people don't look at his record and realize that he has almost 100 pro fights, and he has never been stopped.
Never.
Never.
Is that crazy?
Never
from
been stopped
everywhere
in
from
almost
54, I think, or 60, 50 or 64, 54 or 60,
all the way up
I'm
to
weight cut.
heavyweights.
all the way up to heavyweight, never been stopped.
That's
He's been hurt, been down, but I ain't never seen him stop. Obviously, never been stopped.
he's got like
Unbelievable.
10. He's got like 10 losses, and they're all by decision.
Ain't that crazy?
Yeah.
Like, that just lets you know his mind. You know what I mean? How he is, because there's no question he's been times he's been hurt. There's no question he's been down, obviously. You know what I mean? He in there fighting heavyweights, fighting, all these other punchers, even cruisers all the way. Bruh, when he was getting hit by, I was watching that Vasily Girov. And Vasily Girov he wasn't tickling you. He was in there trying to kill you.
That was a
And
great
some
fight.
of them body shots, bro. Like when you gotta say James Toney, man. He is when you see a fighter, you know what I mean? He ain't the tallest, he ain't the biggest, he ain't got the best body. He was quick, but he wasn't the fastest guy necessarily, but he was one of the most skilled. And I think the skill is what really just made him look even better and even faster, punch even harder. It's the timing, it's the IQ, it's the understanding, it's the willingness, you know what I mean, to punch at the times that a lot of guys wouldn't, including myself. So, man, awesome fighter. One of the best.
All right, so let's go. Let's talk about a modern heavyweight that actually just fought with Usyk. You were actually teammates and sparring partner with Tyson Fury for a long time, and a lot of fans might not be aware of that. So, question 3: tell me a Tyson Fury story.
All right, the first. I'll just go to this. I got so many now. I'm thinking. The first time I seen him, and I seen him fight Steve Cunningham, and I didn't know him. He was real brash, talking a lot of stuff, and I was, me and Steve was cool. He's from my gym, so I'm kind of like on the side of Steve, like, yeah. And I saw him Steve drop him. I'm like, yeah. So they call and they invite me out, and I'm thinking like, this dude gonna probably be a jerk. Gonna be this, he gonna be that. You don't know what to think, and then like, he all right, man. And then before that, they even asked me to fight. They even asked me, would you want to fight Tyson Fury? And I had torn my bicep. That was right after Adamic. So I had a torn bicep, so I couldn't, regardless, even if I wanted to. And I was really, really confident, especially after I was able to perform like I did with one hand with Tomas. So I felt really good. So I was like, man, I'd have probably took that shit, not understanding what I was getting myself into at the time. This big 6'9" guy, I was like, I'm gonna be too fast for him. I'm gonna be this, I'm gonna be that. Not really understanding just how big and how good the kid was. But anyway, so this is all in my mind, right? So I go out to camp with him, and I'm thinking, big guy, gonna be pretty common place to be. Big mummy, ain't gonna really be, not gonna be that fast, not gonna be that good. It's just things I've seen over my career. So I kind of, this is what I would expect. You know what I'm saying? With the exception of Vladimir, I'm like, man, ain't nobody gonna be like that. So I'm like, all right. And I go in there. First off, I get there, and he's getting Vaselined up and everything, and I'm waiting for him to put on his stuff. He had his gloves on, and he didn't have a cup on. He didn't have headgear. So I'm looking, and I'm sitting outside waiting. And he's like, yeah, you gonna go first. And I was like, okay, cool. He's like, go ahead, get up in the ring. I was like, don't you gotta get his gear on first? And it's like, what you talking about? He's ready. I'm like, he's ready? Why ain't he got his headgear on? He's like, no, they don't wear headgear. I'm like, you don't got no cup. They don't wear a cup and headgear. They just go. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, huh? Like, what happens if he gets cut? I mean, in my mind, I got all these things going. I'm like, you don't wear headgear? I'm like, is this real? I'm like, you in there with me. Whatever. I don't care. All right. So I get in there, and I'm expecting him, first off, to be easy to hit. So I'm getting in there. I throw my quickest jab just to see, pop him in the head, see if he come up short. I'm like, all right, he's rangy. So let me get a little closer. And then step in range. And he threw a shot. I kind of made him miss. And then he threw another one. And I'm like, damn, that wasn't that slow. And I tried to hit him again. And he made me miss again. And this range, and he moving his head. Then he, start playing around a little. What the hell is this dude? I'm like, this dude really, in my mind, I'm thinking, you know who I am? You know what I mean? Not like being an asshole or whatever, but I'm a pro too. Like, you ain't gonna be just treat me like this. Man, I was in there sparring with this dude, and he was like moving. He dancing around the ring. I'm like, this big gangly fool. Like, how is he moving around like that and throwing shots and busy, throwing a lot of punches? And I'm like, and at the time, I'm maybe 198 pounds, maybe 200, because I was about to fight a cruiserweight fight. So I'm like, damn, this guy's a lot better than I thought. I'm like, why is he able to do this? And then I'm like, damn, maybe there's a big misconception. I start thinking about the time when they asked me to fight. And I'm thinking how easy I thought it would have been and what I was able to do with Tomas versus now what I'm able to, and I'm seeing it, this dude is just a little different than I expected him to be. You know what I mean? No, a lot different than I expected him to be. Like, he was making me miss, catching me with shots. And I'm sitting there like, and it wasn't hurting me. He wasn't catching me all the way clean the whole time, but it was like some back and forth. And then I would get out, another dude would get in. And it was the same thing. I mean, it was Dillian White was there. Like I said, like Steve Cunningham had went out there afterwards, which is kind of crazy. Because I guess they had that little thing that, when he was talking all the stuff. But Steve went out there too. And he had another guy's named Arfan, good friend of mine. I like that kid. I ain't seen him in years now, but he was out there too. He's about 175 pounds. All of that just because, because he was going to be fighting David Haye. So he wanted guys who were fast and athletic to be at him. And like, with the exception of obviously Dillian White, because he needed power too, because David Haye's a puncher. But I'm going to be honest with you, man. He was sharp and ready for the fight. We were having a hard time touching. We was having a hard time touching.
You became a teammate of his, and then you sparred him for a long time. So I take it you guys have a pretty good relationship?
Oh, we had a really, really good relationship. I respect him a lot. He respected me. You know what I mean? And we had some camera-worthy sparring sessions, I'm telling you.
So now in that fight with him and Usyk, were you thinking that Tyson was going to win?
I didn't blink on it. Not even, except when he was hurt and I thought the ref was going to stop it. Then I was like, damn, you know what I mean? Like, he about to get stopped. But the way the middle rounds went is what I expected for the fight. Is exactly what I'm going to say middle rounds. I'm going to say early rounds, even the first three. I think they were like, there was not a lot in the rounds, to be honest. I think Usyk probably edged maybe the first two, maybe. But from 2.5 to 3 to 7, that was vintage what I expected Tyson to be able to do consistently throughout the fight. I just think he got so much, like I said about James, he got a lot of game with him. He got a lot of different things he can do. For his size, there's really nothing that should have been done or been able to have been done. And I'm not saying that, Usyk didn't go out and win, because he damn sure won. But I think Tyson put himself in position. I think pulling out with his hands down, taking too many chances, giving a man his only opportunity and the way he can get back into the fight. He put himself on a platter for him for that to happen.
Okay.
And I'm saying, you're 6'9", you got range out, from inside the ring to out. You know what I mean? You could probably reach the front row and hit them. And instead, you're gonna get him in, let him get in range comfortably. I mean, don't get me wrong. Some of the shots you were throwing as he was trying to break range was smart. Those right uppercuts were great, but I think he should have closed it with the hook. You know what I mean? And then I've seen some of the things he was doing. He would throw the shot or whatever, and Usyk would get down, and he would start to rest that arm on the head, which is smart. But I think he started to get a little bit too comfortable, a little too lax, a little too excited with his success. And you can't do it with a guy like Usyk. Usyk is one of the best ones we've seen out there at taking advantage of opportunities given. And if you're going to play with a guy like that, then that's what you're going to get. You know what I mean? You play stupid games, win stupid prizes. And Tyson is, you know what I'm saying? And you know what? Tyson is, I think, one of the best we've seen in the heavyweight division. There's no question about it. I think him winning that fight would have sealed that even more. But him putting himself in position and even still only losing by 1 point on one of the cards, which would have, if he wouldn't have got knocked down coincidentally, he wins the fight. You know what I mean? Probably wins it by more, because then if he doesn't get knocked down, then he's not only going to come back in the 12th, but he's going to come back probably 11th, maybe even the 10th. So it's just, my thoughts are, if he decides to rematch, which I think that they're going to do, he just has to be serious. And I'm not going to say he wasn't serious. He didn't train. Of course, I think he trained. I think he was right. I think he had the right mental. His mental was right. I think he was focused, to some degree. But I think having that much success, sometimes you fall asleep, man, at the wheel. And I think that's what happened. And Usyk took full advantage. And he proved that he deserved to be talked about as one of the best that are out there too, or maybe even ever. So, and like I said, he's a professional's professional. You know what I mean? He's that guy. So, all the credit to Usyk, man. I just look at Tyson and I say, God damn, man, why did you do it? Why did play prevent defense? I don't give a shit, whatever it is. That's my guy, and I wanted to see him prove what he is. And that Ngannou shit just kind of upset me, because you see, and I was trying to tell people, don't believe the hype behind that shit. Triangle theories don't work. Styles make fights. Understand that was something there's not a lot to go on in that. And I was right up until the 9th round. And then it started to look bad.
All right, well, let's get to question 4. Question 4. Do you have any hobbies outside the sport of boxing?
Do I? 2 others that start with a B. One is basketball, another is bowling. I love both of those 2 sports. Bowling, I don't do much, but I am it's like I'm trying to make the NBA in my mind with basketball. I suck. When it comes to competing with anybody below, maybe below a college player, I might have a chance, but anybody above that, I don't think I can do too much with. I played with pros before. I worked out with them and trained, and I love the sport, man. I swear to God, I could play basketball. I just left the gym playing ball, so trust me, I love it. But
okay,
yeah, those
all
things.
right. Question 5.
Oh wait, go
ahead.
One more. Video games too. That's it.
Oh, you're a gamer.
Oh, I'm a gamer. But I honestly, recently I haven't, because I'm so stuck in ball. I can't. That takes a lot of time, and I got to make money. I got to do all these other things, and that's the only real thing I can focus on outside of, training and making a living and all of that, because I don't have that much free time. So I got to use it playing. The one thing I want to do all the time is ball. So I haven't been able to game as much recently.
Okay, question 5. Who's the one fighter that you've never gotten a fight in your career that you really wanted to fight?
I never got. They used to talk about me and David Haye. I remember David Haye said he would never fight me because I was, a disgrace or something to boxing. I think that was a little bit of bull crap. I think he just, he looked at the fight and was like, it's a lot for a little. You know what I mean? And what I mean by that is the fight is going to be a tough fight for what money. So let me just disqualify that tough fight, which he could possibly lose. Yeah, maybe he wins, but they would expect him to win, kind of thing. You know what I mean? And he's like, I would have liked to have matched up with him and seen how, because I respected him, even though he talked a lot of shit on me. He gave me the fast food Eddie Chambers name. That was a classic. I never met him in person. I like to walk up to him I love that name. I swear I could have wished I could have used that shit. I wish I would have heard that before he said it, and I would have used that and came out with I could have used that and made money off it. I could have had McDonald's, sponsor me. You know what I'm saying? Fast food Eddie Chambers, what? No, but yeah.
All right,
but yeah, David Haye. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
All right, question 6. Do you have a pre-fight meal that you always have to eat before each fight?
Man, not really. I was always so damn nervous for my fights, and when it got to especially the day of, man, I wouldn't even think about food, man. Sometimes it could be bad because you don't want to eat. Your stomach is bothered. Your mind is so focused on one thing. You really aren't. You know what I mean? So, but if you talk about the a few days before it was always like a nice, they got like salmon, rice, and a nice veggie, but you know those things. But it's funny, I don't eat most of that stuff that I mentioned now, but yeah, I like a nice good piece of salmon, and like this was you know at the height, so that with some rice. There was a particular place I went one time, and it was one of the best ones I had. It was a place up in I think it was Jersey City, if I'm not mistaken. My man I think he was good friends with Mike Tyson. His name was Mario, and I went to his little spot. Man, it was one of the best I ever had. It had a nice little lemon twist. Oh, I was damn. Let me come back to this spot before I got a fight. I might want to eat then, but ever since then, no, my wife been good. Like my wife been on par with that for a while with her food. So, but yeah, anyway, that was the only one I could think of.
All right, question 7. What is something that your boxing fans don't know about you?
Oh man, I mean, probably a lot. Well, I mean, I guess if they're fans of mine, they might not know. I mean, the whole basketball thing, yeah, maybe they know that. That's a good question. Oh, nah. I mean, I don't like flying. I don't know if that's something. I hate that shit. Oh Lord. Oh my gosh. What else? I think maybe the hobby thing. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I pretty much said that though. I think on enough podcasts and enough interviews that maybe they know about that. Damn, I'm trying to think of like something that I might not have known, and bring it. I just can't really. I can't really think. Okay, that if I had the same, I'll say this: if I had the same desire in boxing that I did in basketball, the same want, the same hunger to be better that I do in basketball, in boxing, I think I don't care how big how tall, what my size is, or any of that. I think I still would end up being a Hall of Famer. I think I would have still beat guys. I would have still, because I will say I really believe my skill level is as high as anyone's, especially in the heavyweight division in the heavyweight division, especially in the last years that I competed. At least I feel, and I think the desire and the hunger and the want and the need to be better and to continue to pursue the elusive title that the big titles that I never really got a chance to get. I would have eventually be it at heavyweight, at cruiserweight. At some point I would have gotten that far, and I think once I would have gotten it and broken the seal, I think I would have been able to really go down as one of the best. But honestly, man, I just, the desire, it wasn't where it needed to be with it, and I did it because I was good at it and I felt comfortable in there, and I was getting pushed and there was a lot of expectations, and I just kept going and going and going and going, whether I wanted to or not. So,
okay.
Yeah.
All right, question 8. What's the craziest or the funniest story that ever happened between you and a boxing fan?
Damn. Oh, Jesus, crazy. And a boxing fan?
Yeah, give me any type of story that happened between you and a boxing fan.
Boxing fan. See, I don't like bringing up stories of women that I've met through. All right, crazy story, right? This is gonna be out, but anyway, I'm gonna say it. There was this one gorgeous woman. I mean, absolutely gorgeous woman, right? And I had just fought Alexander Dimitrenko, and I just beat him, right? So, I'm on my way, and I can't really tell the entire story, so I'm going to tell a little bit about just a funny thing that she said. But we're standing, and I'm younger at the time, and I'm single at the time, enjoying life. I just won the biggest fight of my life up to that point. I'm number 1 contender for the title now, so I'm like, man, I can't wait, So we're there, and like I said, there was this gorgeous girl, and I didn't even see her. I was just like, head was in the clouds, so happy. She was literally standing this close to me, and I still didn't even pay attention nor did I see her. So me and my guys are there, and we're looking, and they're telling us, no, there's a real nice club right there. There's a nice little club on the corner, and we're like, yeah, let's go in there. And then there was another guy who was with us who was taking us, showing us around. And he was like, man, that's weak. That club is terrible. That club is terrible. There's nothing really going on in there. I'm like, man, first of all, that club looked like you got 2 floors. It looked like it's packed to the brim, like you can barely even move in there. You see beautiful women on the outside. I'm like, bro, what are you talking about? This club looks awesome. He's like, trust me. Follow me down the street to this other club. Okay. Now I'm sitting there, and this girl, like I said, it's this close. And she's there. I didn't turn, and then they nudged me like, yo, oh. And I look at her, and I'm like, oh, shit. She's literally this close to my face, and just starts saying all this stuff. Oh, yes, I think you're the greatest, and you're all this and that. And then she was a boxing fan. I think she was a sports fan, but you're the greatest, and all this and that, and telling me, oh, my friends were talking about how they wanted to see, because Dimitrenko is, the house fighter that I guess there. He'd been fighting in Germany a lot, and they were saying, no, I like this guy. He's the best, and blah, blah, blah. And so she continues to talk, and she's saying all this stuff. And I'm sitting there like, and I look at her, and I'm like, man, this girl's gorgeous. I ain't even thinking about what she's saying. I can't even see nothing but her lips move. I ain't paying no attention to what she's saying. So I'm sitting there looking at her, and then looking at my guys like, oh, this is crazy. Then there's another one. This literally talking to another friend of mine, he was my co-promoter, and he's up there talking to her, and she's trying to get close. And I'm like, damn, this is really how things are at this level. I'm like, man, I like this. So, and she's gorgeous too. And I'm like, Jesus. So I'm thinking all this, and at the same, then all of a sudden I see my guys, and they all bust out laughing, and then y'all can practice. I'm like, what is he talking about? And I was like, what happened? And they say, you ain't hear what she said? And I'm like, no. She said, she said she wants to have your baby. I'm like, huh? I looked at her, and I'm like, wait a second, that's a little bit too much. Ain't that a little too much for the first date? Like, wait a minute, I don't even know your name. I said, what? I'm like, but this is the kind of stuff that happens. So I'm like, if this is at that level, I mean, I kind of want to be here, but this is how you see people get caught in those scandals, and I don't want to be involved in that.
Yep.
Anyway, I'm married now, so let's put that story to the back.
All right, question 9. Have you ever had an incident where you thought you were gonna die?
In the ring?
No, anywhere in life in general.
Oh. When I was 5, I think I was 5 years old, I got shot in the arm. And I wasn't in the drive-by shooting. I mean, don't get me wrong, I grew up in a rough place, but it wasn't that. As a kid, I wasn't out there like that, but, I haven't really told this story, but me and my cousin, who ended up passing away, he was killed some years back. It's like a brother to me more than anything else, but we were kids. He was 8 and I was 5. And, this is why they say for parents and adults, you keep your weapons, guns and stuff like that hidden in a place where there's no way your kids will know it's there or you can't find it, right? Well, my cousin knew where they were kept, the guns, right? So they had 2. He gave me one, and he had one. And, we were playing where we didn't know, and they were revolvers. So he said, oh, because I'm older, I get 2 bullets. And because you're younger, you get 1. I'm like, all right, cool. So he put the bullets in both guns. He gave me one, and I got one. I'm 5 years old. I don't know what the hell what we're doing. I don't think there's anything that can come of this. I have no idea what's going on. So he's like, all right, you ready? And I had the gun in my hand, and I pulled the trigger. Boom. And nothing happened. It was a revolver. It wasn't in the right chamber, obviously, right? So it didn't work. I'm like, this is stupid. And then he said, let's draw. I didn't know what draw meant. Like in that, I thought he meant draw like a picture, and I used to love to draw. So I was like, ooh, for real? Let's draw. Yeah, let me go get the paper. And then I asked him, right before that, I had dropped the gun already. It was on the floor. And I was like, yo, where's the paper? And he pulled the trigger. Boom, this big loud boom. And I've seen the fire, and And then I turned around and I looked at the TV, and it blew a hole in the TV. And I was like, ooh. And I was pointing at him. You'll get in trouble, Saw. And he was looking at me crazy. And I was like, damn, I feel weird. And I looked down, and my arm was bleeding, gushing blood like a little bit. And I was like, oh, and I was rolling around on the floor. And as a kid, honestly, I'll tell you, there was no pain. I don't remember any pain. All I remember was seeing that. My eyes were as big as saucers. And my cousin, and my other cousin who died of cancer not too long ago, her name is Jackie, she come running down the steps. And she said, what's going on? And I showed her my arm. She takes me upstairs, and they're all kids. Like, keep in mind, I think Jackie, is maybe, I don't know, maybe 14 or 13 at the time, maybe. She comes downstairs, and she takes me upstairs, and she's running cold water on the wound, and there's blood, and there's still I don't know what it was sticking out my arm. I don't know what the hell it was. I don't know if it was a shell or a part of the blood. I don't know. It's sticking out, and the blood is flowing out of it. We're going crazy. She calls my aunt and my dad, and after all of it, and I remember sitting in the car with my arm wrapped, and it didn't hurt no more. Obviously, it went through my arm and hit the TV. Let's get that out the way, because there was an exit wound at the bottom. But there was really no pain. Other than the little sting, it was really, and he was asking me, like, and my aunt came in, who also passed tragically not too long ago. She punched him, and I swear he flew. It seemed like the length of a football field when she hit him. And, I was like, what the hell? And I was like, damn, why they do that to him? Not realizing the severity of what would happen, even though it didn't really do anything. I went to the hospital, and I remember they gave me like a shot to kind of, I don't know if it was to numb the pain or whatever, but there wasn't no pain. And it was like, maybe just they gave me the shot just to, I don't know, calm me down. And I thought maybe is it, am I going to die? Am I going to die with shot? You start thinking like that. And you see, I remember them putting me on a stretcher, and I'm looking at all these lights in the hospital and all of that. And then, I remember to have me in the room, they gave me some medication, and I remember being kind of loopy. So I didn't know. I was like, this is what dying feels like. I was a kid, so I have no idea. But I think that was probably my closest, I don't know, I guess, to that.
Yes, I mean, obviously you were small. You were only 5 years old when you were shot, but that never affected your movement in your arm or anything to do with your boxing career at all?
Nah. I mean, I tore that same tendon. I mean, that same arm is where I tore the bicep tendon for the. But that had that okay. Literally was what, almost, that's 30. That was like 25 years later.
Yeah.
And that was a freak injury that doesn't happen very often, and it's just, and that was just overuse. But nah, nothing. You know what I mean? It was in like a sling for a little bit. Once the wound healed, it was fine.
All right. Question 10. Who is your favorite athlete?
Oh, damn, favorite athlete. That is a hell of a question. All these athletes are my favorite one. I'm a basketball fan. My favorite all time is probably Michael Jordan, maybe Tracy McGrady or Kobe, somebody like that. But that's just basketball. Boxing, we already know my favorite is. I say athlete. My favorite. So it's not like the most influential. Damn. Fuck, that's a good ass question. It's too many, man. I'm just gonna be honest with you. It's too many guys that I look up to and admire in too many different sports, man. It's like, damn. Like, there's track athletes, there's boxers, there's football players, there's basketball. Basketball probably be the closest because, aside from boxing. Man, that's a hell of a question. Can I say a list? Yeah, my favorite athlete all day. Golly, that's a hard one, bro. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's gonna be really hard to be just one.
Okay, just give me a couple then.
All right, well, boxing, I'll say James because he's my favorite. Basketball, I was a big, really, really huge fan of Tracy McGrady, man. That was my favorite to watch back in the day. But Michael Jordan, obviously, is the best ever in basketball, and I really used to love
Adjust
watching
your camera,
him.
though, for me, Eddie.
Oh, sorry about
There
that.
you
I
go.
dropped it a little bit.
It's all right.
Yeah, like I said, T-Mac and Jordan in basketball. Big respect to Kobe, too. Damn. Yeah. I used to really enjoy watching Michael Johnson run back in the day as a track athlete. I used to watch tennis with my dad all the time. We really liked, you see what I'm saying, right? You see all these damn sports that I'm mentioning, right? Like I went from boxing to tennis to basketball. Football was about to be next. You know what I mean?
All right, I get your point. You watch a lot of different sports.
Sorry,
right.
man.
No, that's all right. This next question you might have to think a little bit about too, because you fought a lot of great fighters and you've had a lot of interesting fights. But question 11, who has been your favorite opponent to fight out of your career?
It's like this. My favorite opponent as far as performance for me to look good, Tomas. I think, but he embodied that for me. I think he was the kind of guy that, now I'm not saying I couldn't have beat other guys like that. I just think at the time, the way I trained, the way I prepared, Tomas was the perfect opponent to look good against.
Okay.
As far as that, most difficult opponent was obviously Vladimir, that I actually fought in a fight. It was really difficult because he was strong, was rangy, and he knew how to hold that range, and he knew how to do what was necessary to win, even if it was illegal. And because he held all the cards, wasn't nobody gonna tell him he couldn't do it. So, you know what I mean? But
all right, question 12. Did you suffer any injuries so far in your boxing career?
Yeah, well, you know, the torn tendon on my left. I had a broken rib, and I couldn't compete one time. But as far as like lasting, like hand injuries or anything like that, the only one that I had that was lengthy, it took me almost a year to recover from. Well, at least, you know, let's say a year, but maybe like 6 to 8 months, was the torn tendon for the bicep. That was a little lengthy.
Okay. All right. Question 13. Who was the hardest puncher you've ever faced in the ring in a fight or sparring?
Shannon Briggs, by far. No disrespect to the guys I fought. There's another close, and I've been wanting to say this, and I ain't saying something. I don't think I mentioned it to anybody but like people I knew close to me, because I forgot about it, honestly. I don't know how I did, but I did. But there's another guy that I fought as an amateur, and I sparred him as a pro later on. And I just couldn't understand how this dude could punch that hard. And he was close. Now, obviously, Vladimir punches hard. I was in there with Hasim Rahman, who punches extremely hard with his right hand, too. Good jab, too. Good fucking jab, Hasim Rahman. Gerald Noble's another one. There's a lot of guys. But Shannon Briggs literally made me want to kill him. Like, that's how hard he punched me. And the thing is, he didn't hurt me. He didn't hurt me like to wobble me or nothing. It was just like, I took real offense to it. Like, this dude is trying to kill me, man. Like, what is this problem? I was like, I'm about to kill this dude in here. And we went at it, I'm gonna tell you. But and the other guy that I was saying about, his name was Jeremy Stoff. Yeah, that dude and it don't make sense because he ain't the most skilled necessarily. He was pretty, you know, he's pretty good or whatever. But it was so weird how that he can just punch. Like, it was so weird. Like, he would hit me, and I'm like, damn, why does that hurt like that? Like, I mean, like, what is going on with this guy? Like, is he on steroids or something? He don't even look like him. Like, what is going on? Like, he hit me, and we were sparring. And Shannon, I didn't fight Shannon. In a fight, it was a sparring. And this dude, I fought him in the amateurs, but we had headgear on. And I just remember it was a hard-ass fight. He beat me in the amateurs in the one fight we had. And I remember taking them shots. And this is why I know I could take a shot, because I was taking them, boom, and I was giving it back, boom. And this is also where you realize how much heart you really have as a fighter. and whether you and trust me, I don't take punches unnecessarily. And I only take them when it feels like I have to. And in that situation, I felt like I needed to, and I just didn't have the skill at the time to really avoid everything. But oh man, when I sparred the kid the second time, good Lord, he was still cracking. I was like, this dude is just different. I don't know what he does or what he did, but he punched hard as shit. And him and Shannon are two of the guys aside. And there's, like I said, a guy by the name of Gerald Nobles, Terrence Lewis, and who the hell else was I going to say? Hassan Rockman. They punch hard. Monty Bear punched hard too. But yeah, there's a lot. But the two I mentioned, those two stood out in a major way.
Question 14. What's your best boxing memory so far to this point in your career?
Man, how I felt when I won the fight in Germany with Alexander Dmitrенko, and you heard that crazy story I just told you not too long ago. But the feeling I had from that, it's hard to put into words, like that kind of situation, and where I could go from there. Man, it was awesome. It was an awesome feeling. I don't think anything up to that point. I mean, my performance with Tomas was great, but it just, the win. I needed to win. All
right, question 15. If you could have a conversation with one person from history, who would you want to sit down and talk to?
Ali. I would like to talk to Ali. I like to talk to him, find out, just like, because you listen to some of the stuff he said, man, it's like, this dude wasn't a regular guy. He wasn't no regular athlete. He was like a book, and it's what he stood for. Like, he was from a time when men were allowed to be men and could talk about it. You know what I mean? And then, the civil rights thing and all that back then, and him standing up and doing what he did for the community. But it's just him as an individual, man. There was just so much to learn. If I could literally sit down and talk to him and, have everything, his wits about him and everything, man, it would have been a hell of a thing to be able to talk to him and learn from him.
Okay. Question 16. What is your favorite ice cream flavor?
Vanilla or cookies and cream. But, yeah.
Okay.
Like
All right. Question 17.
Fat dude, too.
Huh?
I said I'm a fat guy, too, so I love all that.
All right. Question 17. What's the number one problem in the sport of boxing right now, in your opinion?
Not enough emphasis on the sport, too much on business, and not enough focus on the fighters and what they need. You know what I mean, and who they are. I mean, they do that some. You know what I mean, and I think also there should be something to have at the end of their careers.
Like a retirement
because there's too many
plan?
guys. Yeah, yes, some kind of pension, something. Because there's too many great fighters that you see that can't talk, barely talk, can't get jobs. There's nothing they can do. They're just screwed. You know what I mean? And there should be some kind of plan to look after them. I think there's not enough emphasis on the fighters. I think too much focus is on. Don't get me wrong. If we look at the fighters, we have to. That's what the product is. But I think the people outside of boxing get more money than the people that actually do the sport, and I don't think that's right.
Okay.
You know what I mean? You look at a lot of these promoters, and I think they get a little bit too much money, and fighters don't get enough.
All right, question 18. What's the best advice you've ever gotten from another boxer, and who was it? And what was it?
Damn. I got a lot of good advice. I say the best. I got a boxing brain, so keep in mind I can't remember everything. It's not even the good shit sometimes. So
well, just give me something that comes to you right away. Something that stuck with you.
Well, one thing, and it's come from necessarily from a fighter, but I think it's watch the people that is closest to you. You know what I mean? The whole enemies, keep your enemies close, and keep your enemies close. What is it? Your friends close, your enemies closer type thing. Sometimes can, be that in boxing. You know what I mean? Some people, not everybody has your best interest at heart. So, And I've talked to. See, the thing is, I haven't been able to talk to a ton of guys, about those types of things. I end up being one of the ones that would always tell the fighters. You know what I mean? I'm one of the OGs or whatever that say it to the fighters, like, hey man, look out for this, look out for that. I just didn't really have a lot of that coming up, and I think it was because of the folks I was dealing with. They didn't want me out there talking to a lot of these guys. Like one guy in particular I always wanted to really spend time talking to was Bernard Hopkins. I never really got a chance to talk to Bernard like I wanted to. And I know he would have gave me some solid game. And like Monty Barrett was one guy. When I was real young, he was like kind of OG at the time, and he gave us some good game. I can't really, a lot of some about the business, you know what I mean? About training, staying focused, and not getting caught up in a lot of the bull crap that goes along with with ladies and all of that stuff that I really needed, stuff that I honestly I still have my dad there, so but it's nice hearing it from a fellow athlete, you know what I mean? And I always really respected Monty too. And another one too was Hassan Rahman. He was real good. He was real good, like a real good guy to talk to. And, he would periodically tell me, and he always would big up me to a lot of the promoters and a lot of the people because of how well I was doing the sparring with him. And he was like, yo, he's gonna be one of these guys, one of those guys. And he was another one who gave me some game too. Just about, staying focused, not spending your money as soon as you get it. You know what I mean? Stuff like that.
Okay.
And I gotta say one more, and not a fighter, and two more actually, and they were all part. But my financial advisors, who actually ended up being more like family, they really spent a lot of time putting a lot of game to me when it comes to that too. They actually did so much for me. So as my guy Mario Stevens and I know Lamar helped me a lot. A lot. He did so much for me. You know what I mean? So yeah, those people.
Okay.
And more. There's more.
All right.
There's more.
Question 19. What's something that you're very passionate about besides boxing?
Really? You can ask that question again. That's it. Okay, we're gonna go back to it again.
Well,
basketball.
The question I asked you before though was what kind of hobbies you had outside the sport of boxing.
True.
This question is actually what's something that you're very passionate about besides boxing?
Basketball.
Basketball
now,
again.
Yeah. Well, see the thing about what it is. It's like I'm a pro athlete, right? And I expect to be good at stuff. So I when I enjoy something, and I've always enjoyed it. I've enjoyed this from basketball before I actually really got into boxing heavy. So yeah, it's when I say passionate about it, like I'm in the gym and I'm in a gym until like almost 12 o'clock at night. And I'll be in the gym for like 4 or 5 hours just playing. Just working out, just working on stuff.
So let me ask you something then. If your father wouldn't have been who he was involved in boxing and pushed you into the sport of boxing, do you think as much passion as you have for the sport of basketball, do you think you would have ended up in the NBA?
I'm not going to say I would have ended up in the NBA because I don't know. But if the effort that I put into boxing, because I'm going to say this too about boxing, where I come from, wasn't really the biggest hotbed for high-level fighters. And I come from Pittsburgh, and we worked hard being there, delivering papers in the middle of the night, getting up at a certain time, running, working out 2 or 3 times a day every day, even, and I had to do it through school and everything. So I made it in boxing because of that work ethic and the fact that I loved basketball. I would have absolutely worked that hard. Now, the difference with basketball and with boxing is, yes, there's politics in boxing to the craziest degree, but you still, at least with a one-on-one sport, if you get put in the ring with a guy, you still have an opportunity to win. Even if they rob you, a lot of people still see it, those kinds of things. With basketball, even if you're the best, if you're not 6'5", if you're not this, if you're not that, if you don't fit this build, sometimes coaching, you know what I mean? If you don't get with the right coach and you're better than the best player and you don't get a shine, you got to have other people to kind of give you the opportunity. So I don't know for sure if I would have been in the NBA, but I would have definitely been NBA talent wise. I would have been, not to say skill wise. I would have definitely, and I would have been willing to work, and I would have gotten better and kept getting better until I would have maxed out what I had.
Okay.
So maybe.
All right, question 20. Tell me an interesting story, anything out of your boxing career that the fans probably don't know.
Interesting story. Jeez, it's a lot of damn interesting stories I got. Damn, trying to find one that I have. Damn. Interesting. I mean, I think I said a few that were pretty crazy, really interesting. I mean, damn, man, this is killing me, man. I can't really. I'm trying to answer. This is the 20th question. I should be able to answer. And it's not really that crazy. I got a lot of different stories. In boxing, damn. All right, I'm trying to think of like a camp story or something like that. I mean, all right.
Tell me something. Tell me a story then about when you fought Klitschko. There's got to be stories somehow tied to that.
Well, yeah, there's. Okay, like I remember with Vladimir and just in general being involved in that. Coming from where I've come from, not having a lot of money, not having a lot. At one point in our lives, when I was a kid, we didn't have heat in the house, literally for 2 years. Almost died in a kerosene heater fire because we didn't have heat in the house. So, and waking up with soot on our nose and all that, and being able to, get in there and fight for all the belts, not almost all the belts, but fight the best guy there, the lineal heavyweight champion of the world, Hall of Famer. Coming out, cool stories like being in the dressing room, as nervous as I was, getting warmed up, getting ready to go out and challenge for the title, and then coming out and seeing 50,000 people in the stadium to see. I mean, they ain't there really to see me necessarily. I mean, they are, but they're, there's probably a few sprinkled in there. But just to see the turnout and to be a part of that, knowing where I've come from, fighting all of the guys I fought to get there, and then coming out and like fans coming in the back wanting to get an autograph, even though I was kind of like, why the hell is this happening? I got to fight this killer. And I got to be focused. They coming in the back. They want to talk to you. They want to, spend time with you. They got all these people around, and it's just like, it's a cool thing to be a part of. You know what I mean? It's an amazing thing. Even being the opponent in that situation, which I hate thinking like that, because, I'm like, motherfucker, I'm just as good as him. You know what I mean? I could fight like him. I'm better than him. That kind of thing. But not to hate on it and look at what I was a part of. You know what I mean? Like I said, seeing those people, being announced by Michael Buffer, you know what I mean? That's happened more than once, a few different times in big fights, but I've had big fights, but, and Jimmy Lennon, meeting all these guys, seeing them, being around them. The whole experience of being a high-level fighter is just a real cool experience. Meeting people that I would never have met if I didn't, athletes, actors, comedians, all of these individuals, models. Shit, I'm gonna tell you one thing. I see, this is a crazy thing. One of the most beautiful but tallest women I've ever seen in my life was after I beat Dimitrenko. God damn, this woman had to be, I think, 6'8", 6'9", but was as beautiful as you would ever see. Not little hands, but like little skin smooth, but tall as I don't know what. I thought she was walking on a stage. I was like, oh, well, I didn't know there was a stage over there. So I walked over there and looked, and I was like, there ain't no stage. Then she walked past me. I was like, oh my God. I was like, I've never seen a woman that tall, but she was beautiful. But like I said, just things like that.
Okay.
Just being able to be in the room in those types of situations, man, it was crazy, man. I don't take any of it for granted, not anymore. So I used to, because being a part of boxing is tough. So
Well, listen, I appreciate you taking time to come on and do the 20 random questions. If you got anything to say to your fans before we end that have supported you throughout your career and also going to be supporting you in your next fight, go ahead.
yeah, man, if you're still around, which I'm pretty sure there's a few guys still out there, hope that I can still do something positive for us. I'm definitely going to try. And if you've been with me this long, you know that's what I do. I go out and I get the best effort. I work hard. I don't disrespect the sport, nor do I disrespect my supporters. I love y'all. Want to keep punching as long as I can for y'all, as well as for myself and family. And yeah, man, I enjoyed this, and I come on again. I'm a talker. I like to talk. I talk too much. You know what I mean? But yeah, once again to my people, man, I appreciate y'all. And yeah, we'll keep this thing going at least for a little while longer.
All right. Hold on. And with that, the truth has spoken.